media education, as usual. I decided that I will read important portion of books which are basically very important for media students. And one such book was written by 1964, The Extension of Man. James Reston wrote in the New York Times, July 1957. A health director reported this week that a small mouse, which presumably had been watching television, attacked a little girl and her full grown cat. Both mouse and cat survived, and the incident is recorded here as a reminder that things seem to be changing. So, if you correlate this statement, which was written in the New York Times way back July 7, 1957, you can find that the media is behaving in the manner in which James Reston predicted in 1957. See, after the 1,000 years of explosion by means of fragmentary and mechanical technologies, the Western world is imploding. During the mechanical age, we had extended our bodies in space. Today, after more than a century of electric technology, we have extended our central nervous system itself in a global embrace, abolishing both space and time as far as our planet is concerned. See, rapidly we approach the final phase of the extension of man, the technological simulation of consciousness, when the creative process of knowing will be collectively and corporately extended to the whole of human society, much as we have already extended our senses and our nerves by the various media. Whether the extension of consciousness so long sought by advertiser for specific products will be a good thing is a question that admits of a wide solution. There is little possibility of answering such questions about the extension of man without considering all of them together. Any extension, whether of skin, hand, or food, affects the whole psychic and social complex. Some of the principal extensions, together with some of their psychic and social consequences, are studied in the book Understanding the Media. It's a very important book for mass communication student. And as it was written in this book that a successful book cannot venture to be more than 10% new. Mind it. Whatever we do, we basically collect information from where? We collect information from the external reality. We can't say that I'm 100%, whatever I'm presenting is 100% new. No. Even if you write a book, and if you claim that the book is completely new, then it has chances of not to be accepted by the society. So you cannot offer more than 10 or 20% of new things. But in the mechanical age now, many actions could be taken without too much concern. You know, we can copy, cut, paste. So what you have just written can be eliminated from the external reality. So cut, copy, paste. We are using WhatsApp, and the moment you write something, and if you feel that no, this message should not go to the external reality or the people around us, we eliminate it, we delete it. So Western man acquired from the technology of literacy the power to act without reacting. It's a very important, point. Western man acquired from the technology of literacy the power to act without reacting. It's a power, very important power. Today we react more, even without understanding things. So the advantages of fragmenting himself in this way are seen in the case of the surgeon. Look at the profession of a doctor, a surgeon. Who would be quite helpless if he were to become humanly involved in his operation. If a doctor is humanly involved in his profession, he cannot be a successful doctor. So, the human involvement is not necessary every time. We acquired the art of carrying out the most dangerous social operations with complete detachment. But our detachment was a posture of non-involvement. In the electric age, when our central nervous system is technologically extended to involve us in the whole of mankind and to incorporate the whole of mankind in us, we necessarily participate in depth in the consequences of our every action. It is no longer possible to adopt the aloof and disassociated role of the literate Western. The theatre of the absurd dramatized this recent dilemma of Western man, the man of action who appears not to be involved. Such is the origin and appeal of J. Samuel B.J. Clown. After 3,000 years of specialist explanation, let me set my position so that I'm little the age in which we are living is the age of anxiety, for the reason of the electric implosion that compels commitment and participation, quite regardless of any point of view, The partial and specialized character of the viewpoint, however noble, will not serve at all in the electric age. So all these things that I am telling you is part of a very important book of communication, Understanding the Media, written by Marshall McLuhan. So we as a media student, are we reading this book? Though this book is written in 1964, but it's relevant till date. And whatever is written in this book is very useful for media students. But unfortunately, we are not reading these days. We know that we have the help of Google and other tools, but these tools are not going to help until and unless you develop the art of reading. And the very important part of this book is extension of man. The chair is a specialist ablation of the posterior, a sort of ablative absolute of backside, whereas the couch extends the integral being. The aspiration of our time for wholeness, empathy, and depth of awareness is a neutral adjunct of electric technology. The other very important message that this book has given to all of us, all the media the medium is the message. In a culture like ours, long accustomed by splitting and dividing all things as a means of control, it is that in operational and practical, the medium is the message. This is merely to say that the personal and social consequences of any medium, that is, of any extension of ourselves, results from the scale that is introduced into our affairs by each extension of ourselves or by any new technology. Thus, with automation, for example, the new patterns of human association tend to be eliminate job. Is it true? Can we say this? I don't think. The negative is will lose job. Positive is automation creates rules for people, which is to say depth of involvement in their work and human association that our preceding mechanical technology had destroyed. Many people would be disposed to say that it was not the machine, but what one did with the machine that was its meaning or message. In terms of the ways in which the machine altered our relations to one another and to ourselves, it mattered not in least whether it turned out cornflakes or Cadillac. The restructuring of human work and association was shaped by the technique of fragmentation, that is the essence of machine technology. When IBM discovered that it was not in the business of making office equipment or business machines, but that it was in the business of processing information, then it began to navigate with clear vision. The General Electric company makes a considerable portion of its profit from electric light bulbs and lighting systems. So what I'm trying to convey that a fairly complete way of understanding the extension of man could be made up from selections from Shakespeare's. Some might quibble about whether or not he was referring to TV in these familiar lines from Romeo and Juliet. But soft. What light through yonder window breaks, speaks, and yet says nothing. In Othello, which, as much as King Lear, is concerned with the torment of people transformed by illusion, there are these lines that bespeak Shakespeare's intuition of the transforming powers of new media. I quote, "Is there no charms by which the property of youth and maidhood may be abused? Have you not read Rodrigo of some such thing?" Unquote. In Shakespeare's Troilus and Cressida, which is almost completely devoted to both a psychic and social study of communication, Shakespeare states his awareness that true social and political navigation depend upon anticipating the consequences of innovation. What would be the consequence of a particular innovation in the media field? Look at the technological development. Social media, call it new media. And now social media has changed, completely changed the way we were basically, consuming information. Now information is not only generated by the consumer, disseminated by the consumer, as well as consumed by the consumer. So consumer is generating information, disseminating information, and consuming also. He is consumer of some other consumers. And he himself is a channel, and he is also using channel of communication. Earlier, gatekeepers were involved. They used to decide that what should go to the public. And if we go by the Aristotle model, where he was of the opinion that public is not wise enough to decide about themselves. But things changed. Because of what? Because of innovation, technology. And Marshall McLuhan predicted in 1964 that if we have to look at the impact of the technology, then we should look at the changes that is basically brought by the innovation. Without looking at the part of changes, we cannot successfully analyze the impact of a particular technology. In the initial stages, the technology seems to be taking jobs or destroying the earlier media of communication. But in a long run, you will find that the new technology is complementing and supporting the older technologies. I would like to give you a very good example of radio. This medium was dominated by television, another medium, audiovisual medium. And in India, when television came into being in 1959, and then regular broadcast started in 65, color television started in 1982, and after that, everybody was, thinking about or, using television as a medium of communication. And people thought that radio would collapse. Who had visualized that radio would come back, that too very strongly? Now, with the help of another technology, radio, which was in dormant condition, is now dominating the media scenario in India. with the help of another technology. So the technology in the initial stages hurt or destroy a technology, a medium. So we can, conclude by saying that the technology or a medium which is influencing or dominating a particular era will definitely be affected by a new technology. But there is obvious reasons to believe that another technology which will come after the new one, another new technology will help the old medium which is in dormant condition to rejuvenate, to revive, and to regain its position, earlier position. It happened with radio. Radio with the help of technology. What technology? Radio with the help of, say, motor vehicle. In every motor vehicle you will find FM radio. So the AM shortwave replaced by FM is another way of transmitting. And this FM technology and number of FM radio stations not only generated job but also established the dominance of radio again. Initially in 1980s when we were young, we thought that radio as a medium is no more. Who would listen to a song when we can watch it also while listening? So we never imagined that again a day will come when people will start listening to radio. And the day is very much here. And how much time it took? 1990 to 2022. Though it took 32 years, maybe less than that, 25 years. But in 25 years, things changed and medium regained, old medium regained, re-established its position. So there is no need to fear that the technology which is dominating current era will dominate in future also. People will go back to the old system. So that is why I am saying that when Marshall McLuhan wrote this book, Medium is Message, in 1964, he has signs and trace of so many, important things, important, concepts. Now let me give you a little bit information about hot and cold. Media is hot and cold. And many people talk about it. What is hot and cold media? Can media be hot or cold? The rise of the violence explains Kurt Sashes in the world history of the jazz was a result of that longing for truth, simplicity, closeness to nature, and primitivism, which the last 2/3 of the 18th century fulfilled. In the century of jazz, we are likely to overlook the emergence of the waltz as a hot and explosive human expression that broke through the formal feudal barriers of courtly and choral dance style. So the book, Understanding the Media, while talking about hot and cold media, says that the rise of jazz has replaced the old style. But I have just mentioned that when a new style is replaced, a new style replaces the old style, there is every possibility that the old style would come back again. there is a basic principle. Now, coming back to hot and cold media, there is a basic principle that distinguishes a hot medium like radio from a cool one like the telephone, or a hot medium like the movie from a cool one like TV. Now, there is a question: why film is a hot medium and TV is a cool medium? TV is by-sense medium, both involving both audio and visual senses. Film also involves both audio and visual senses. Now, what is written in this book is very important. A hot medium is one that extends one single sense in high H definition. High definition is the state of being well filled with data. A photograph is visually high definition. A cartoon is low definition. Simply because very little visual information is provided. Telephone is a cool medium or one of low definition because the ear is given a meager amount of information. And speech is a cool medium of low definition because so little is given and so much has to be filled in by the listener. On the other hand, hot medium do not leave so much to be filled in or completed by the audience. So the basic difference between hot and cool medium is that the hot medium never gives you space for filling the information. They'll give you complete information. Hot medium are therefore low in participation. So low in participation. And cool medium are high in participation or completion by the audience. Naturally, therefore a hot medium like radio has very different effects on the user from a cool medium like the telephone. So hot medium hardly has any scope for participation, and cool medium gives you scope for participation. A cool medium like ideogrammic written characters has very different effects from the hot and explosive medium of phonetic. What? The alphabet, when pushed to a high degree of abstract visual intensity, become typography. The printed words with its specialist intensity burst the bond of medieval corporate guilds and monasteries, creating extreme individualistic patterns of enterprises and monopoly. But the typical reversal occurred when extremes of monopoly brought back the corporation with its impersonal empire over many lives. The hotting up of the medium of writing to repeatable print intensity led to nationalism and the religious wars of the 16th century. Any hot medium allows of less participation than a cool one, as a lecture makes for less participation than a seminar, and a book for less than dialogue. So a hot medium allows of less participation than a cool one. So if you have to decide about a medium's hotness or coolness, then see how much participation is given to the audiences. With print, many earlier forms were excluded from life and art, and many were given strange new intensity. But our own time is crowded with examples of the principle that the hot form excludes and the cool one includes. When the ballerinas began to dance on their toes a century ago, it was felt that the art of the ballet had acquired a new spirituality. With this new intensity, male figures were excluded into laundries, bakeries, and hospitals on the periphery of the community. Intensity of high definition engenders specialism and fragmentism in living as it entertainment, which explains why any intense experience must be forgotten, censored, and reduced to a very cool state before it can be learned or assimilated. The Freud, the Freudian censor is less of a moral function than an indispensable condition of learning. Were we to accept fully and directly every shock to our various structures of awareness, we would soon be nervous wrecks doing double takes and pressing panic buttons every minute. The sensor protects our central system of values as it does our physical nervous system by simply cooling off the onset of experience a great deal. For many people, this cooling system brings on a lifelong state of psychic rigor mortis or of somnambulism, particularly observable in periods of new technology. So I hope that you must have understood the difference between hot and cool media. Look at the involvement point of view and then see that how the medium is giving space and decide which medium you are interacting with will give you a very good information of hot and cool media. So, my dear friends, the reading of a book is very important for all of us. We must develop the habit of reading a book and read it aloud, चिल्लाकर, जोर से, पढ़कर इसे हम पढ़ें, जिससे ना सिर्फ हम अपनी भाषा बल्कि अपने उच्चारण पर भी हमारे उच्चारण पर भी प्रभाव पड़ता है. कई बार ऐसा होता है कि हम कुछ शब्दों को पढ़ते समय मुश्किल में पढ़ते हैं. उन शब्दों को जब हम बार बार पढ़ते हैं तो हमें हमारी मुश्किलें कम होती हैं. इसलिए आपको इस बात का ध्यान देना चाहिए और इस तरह की मुश्किलें आपकी ख़त्म हो जाएंगी अगर आप लगातार प्रैक्टिस करते रहेंगे. दोस्तों, this was the first broadcast where we have discussed about a very good book, Understanding the Medium, written by Marshall McLuhan, and a very important concept of hot and cool media, and the concept of technology, whether the technology affects the existing one or replaces the existing one. Is there any scope for the earlier technology to take back its position? So a lot of things we discussed in this lecture. If you have anything to suggest, you may write down in the chat box. Thank you very much. Keep watching Bachpan Express YouTube channel. Thanks.